Hello, I'm Jeff Paur, senior writer with RealTime Fantasy Sports. Welcome to another edition of the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. We're doing our top three series here at RealTime Fantasy Sports, giving you all sorts of different options for top three lists. Easy for me to say for the coming year. We've done busts already. We're going to do breakouts right now. We're going to do rookies, mid-round picks as well. So looking forward to doing all these top three lists. Today, I am joined by Howard Bender to do the top three breakouts. Howard, thanks for coming on.
What's going on? Got my RT gear going here. You want to talk breakouts? I am psyched to talk breakouts. There's a lot. How pumped are you for this season? I'm freaking out.
I am pumped. We got games starting now. We had the Hall of Fame game, which ended early because of the rain, but we got a full slate coming up now here this weekend. Really looking forward to that. It's just great to watch football. I don't care if the backups are playing. I'm still enjoying it and trying to get a feel for what's going on for the coming year.
It's better than watching the UFL, I'll tell you that one.
Hey, our Battlehawks. Don't down our Battlehawks here in St. Louis. That's the only thing we got, Howard. That's all we got.
Bug Howard on your team or something like that? Come on, man. We tried getting fish hooked with the Alliance of American Football, the USFL, the XFL. No, just give me my NFL all season long.
I agree. We missed the NFL here in St. Louis, unfortunately. All right, let's talk about these top three breakouts now, Howard. We have some great guys on both our lists here, I think, that are going to help a lot of fantasy teams. I'll let you go first. Give me a breakout.
All right. If anybody has followed me on socials or anything like, or listened to me on SiriusXM, you know how much I love Will Levis this year. Quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, coming off the board is QB 24. Listen, it's a free pick at the end of your draft. He's the third QB in your Superflex league, right? Or he's like your backup QB in a single QB league. Or a third QB even in a best ball if you're doing the best ball championships over here. Like whatever the case may be, you don't have to use any kind of draft capital to get Will Levis. But I'll say this, Brian Callahan goes from Cincinnati to Tennessee. He brings that offense that he and Zach Taylor constructed over there to the Titans. Now, Brian Callahan's worked with, I don't know, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, Peyton Manning. And what has he done with each one of those QBs? He's done a nice focus on the accuracy, which is the one knock on Will Levis. We know he's got a cannon for an arm. We know he can throw the deep ball, right? It's how can he do with the short, high percentage passing? And when Callahan brings in a guy like Tyler Boyd, who is like seriously one of the greatest intermediary route runners out there with good, solid hands, I absolutely adore this move. They've added Tony Pollard to the backfield, so that's a second pass-catching running back. You've got Chigakonkwo, a pass-catching tight end. You bring in Calvin Ridley. You bring in Tyler Boyd. DeAndre Hopkins might be hurt right now, but so what? It's not a big deal. You still got Treylon Burks hiding out there. All of these weapons are right here for Will Levis. He's spending this entire preseason focusing on the short, high percentage passes and building up that accuracy. I think he is going to have a monster season. I think he's got the potential of being a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Don't care about wins and losses for the Titans. Don't care. Just throw the ball. That's what they're going to do.
I love it, Howard. I had to pivot. You sent me your list of breakouts. I had Will Levis on my list. So I pivoted off him, but I'm like you. It's a free pick too. You can get him super late. I just love the potential. I love the offense set up for him this year. They went all in on trying to make him a big-time quarterback. So I love that pick. So I'm going to give you a different QB that I think is going to break out this year. I think people are sleeping on him a little bit because he got hurt last year, but I'm still all in on Anthony Richardson. He played just 4 games last year. But in 2 of those 4 games, he had 24 plus fantasy points. He got hurt in the last one as well. He had 7 touchdowns to just an interception. I just think his ceiling is super high in this offense. You can get him a little bit after those elite guys are off the board as well. I love his dual threat ability. I just think he's in a great situation in Indianapolis too. I think last year's injury was a fluke also. It's not going to be like he's an injury-prone player, in my opinion. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to stay on the field, not get beat up too bad because he can run the ball. So I'm all in on Richardson. I love Levis as well, but I think Richardson's going to have a breakout year this year. I'm big on him.
Yeah, you got that Konami cheat code going there with the rushing upside for Richardson, and I'm totally in on him as well. I think he's in a great spot. He's coming off the board at QB5, QB6 right now, and it's well worth it. I love the fact that they said that they weren't going to change his style. They were going to teach him to slide better, but they weren't going to change his style. So I am very much in on that. The Josh Downs injury right now, a little troubling, at least for the short passing work coming out of the slot. But when you've got elite receivers like Michael Pittman, I like that for sure. So yeah, I'm definitely in on some Anthony Richardson. I literally just took him in a super flex draft. I was picking 8th or 9th, and I just grabbed him right there in the first round in the super flex. I was like, I'm not going to mess things up here. So I love that call. I got a running back for you here.
Okay.
Now, this one again goes against what Big Fantasy wants. And if you caught our busts video, you heard me talking about Big Fantasy. Big Fantasy, for the record, is what happens when like fantasy football Twitter is like, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, nuh-uh. Javante Williams, running back out of Denver. Listen, forget what Cecil Lammey said 2.5 months ago. He's a beat writer for the Broncos. And all he was doing was hypothetical, maybe this, maybe that. And then guess what happened? We walked into training camp, and while Cecil Lammey said, I could see a situation where Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime, lead this backfield. Like, who got first team touches nonstop? It was Javante Williams. Even Sean Payton turned around and said that he looks like a different player. He spent all of last year still recovering from his ACL tear, right? They eased him in for the season. They gave him the shared workload throughout the year, and now he's a full year removed from that. Oh, I love this, because we also know that Joe Lombardi offenses they constantly deal running back pass targets. Joe Lombardi's offense, the running back room in a Joe Lombardi team has finished over the last 5 years in the top 5 amongst running back targets. They led the league in running back targets over the last 2 years. That was the Chargers, the last year, and the year before that, it was the Saints. So do yourself a favor here. No, it was last year. It was the Broncos were led the league, and then the year before that, it was the Chargers. So get yourself some Javante, baby. Don't be afraid.
I'm coming around to Javante. I think you're a great point is too the year removed from ACL surgery. That's a huge factor. It takes. I know a lot of people come back sooner than normal than they used to, but still, it's a tough recovery. And we saw how great he looked his rookie year. Everybody was clamoring for him to be on the field more. They were upset that he wasn't playing more as a rookie. And then last year, a bit of a bust. And I just had concerns with Sean Payton. I wasn't sure he was sold on him, but I like what I'm hearing from him now. So he's a guy that's definitely moving up my draft board a little bit. I like that call.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to give you another breakout receiver. I like Jaden Reed a lot this year. I know he had a really good rookie season, but he still only had 793 yards, so he wasn't out there as much as your normal starter. A little bit, he has a lot to compete with, but he started 13 of 16 games last year, had 10 total touchdowns. I think he's going to be out there a lot more this year. He's going to be the starter from day one. I think he's Jordan Love's favorite target. He had 11 games with double-digit fantasy points last year, so 11 of 16 games with double-digit fantasy points, so he's super consistent. I know some people might be scared because that's a deep receiver room, but I think Reed's the guy. I think he takes his game to a new level. You can get him a little cheaper than some of the other options at receiver as well, and I think he could end up being a really good number 2 receiver, so I'm all in on Jaden Reed this year. I think he's going to be the top Packers receiver.
I'm a big fan. Listen, I love Romeo Doubs because I think he's highly underrated as a possession receiver, and we see the way Jordan Love leaned on him last year. Even this past Saturday night, early on in the preseason, when the Packers did their I don't know, it was like family night or something like that, where they had the whole on-field thing. Romeo Doubs led in snaps, followed by Christian Watson, who we know is a field stretcher. Jaden Reed came in third there. But what I love about Reed is that he's versatile. He can do the intermediary stuff. He can he can stretch the field vertically. But then how San Francisco uses Deebo Samuel. Get him in on the jet sweeps. Get him in on the gimmicky stuff there. I love Jaden Reed. Single-handedly won me a fantasy championship in one league last year. I'm very much in on that. Oh, but Jeff, Dontavian Wicks, he's supposed to be the guy. I love your Jaden Reed call. I'm in on that 100%. I got lots of shares of him already. Just ask all the RT Sports people who are in those Beat Howard Bender leagues. They'll tell you where I am with Jaden Reed.
Exactly.
They'll also tell you where I'm at with Christian Kirk. And that's my third breakout here, Jeff, because I love Christian Kirk this season. Very, very much so. Look at last year. I'll tell you what happened last year, because Trevor Lawrence took a step backwards last year. The year before that, things were moving and grooving a whole lot better. Last year, what the problem was that you had Calvin Ridley, who was supposed to be stretching the field, right, vertically. He was going to be taking the deeper shots there and really occupying some double coverage, getting the safety over there. Christian Kirk was supposed to handle the underneath stuff. Well, guess what? Calvin Ridley got hurt, and Christian Kirk was being tasked to stretch the field and be that guy so that the intermediary work was taken care of by Evan Engram. Well, then Calvin Ridley came back and they went back to their normal roles, but Christian Kirk got hurt. And so Evan Engram continued with the intermediary stuff, and Calvin Ridley did his thing. This year, there is no Calvin Ridley. It's all Christian Kirk. You draft a field stretcher like Brian Thomas. You bring in a field stretcher like Gabe Davis. So you've got now two guys who are doing the job that Ridley was supposed to do last year. Leaves all that intermediary work for Christian Kirk. Yes, Evan Engram will still get his share, but this is the year. I think this is a career breakout season, I think, for Christian Kirk. Career.
And we saw him kind of play that role before Ridley was there in Jacksonville and did a really good job with it. I think that's a great point. Having those two field stretchers there, his role is definitely going to change. So I like that call with Kirk for sure, Howard. That's a very good one. My last one, a little deeper dive here a little bit. It's Jameson Williams. So his ADP is like 118 right now. So you can get him pretty late, but I think he's going to have a big year. I especially love him in the best ball formats. I think he's going to have some huge games. It could be a little hit or miss for your standard leagues, but I still think he's going to be a guy that takes a big step forward this year. Remember, he had injury issues, suspension issues his first two seasons, so he hasn't even been on the field a whole lot. He showed his potential at times, though, when he's been on the field, but he's going to start from day one this year. They keep saying it in training camp. So I like him as a big play threat in that offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he does great all over the field as well. One of those receivers that's so versatile, but I think Williams is going to be the field stretcher in that offense, get a lot of chances to take the top off defenses. And I like him to have some huge games and be a very consistent fantasy, a very consistent option in the end for fantasy teams. So I think Williams is going to have a big year.
Jameson Williams is he's the reason why I've pulled back on my love for Sam Laporta, because Dan Campbell said it when he first got Jameson Williams, he was like, listen, I'm going to bring this kid along slowly because I want to develop him into a more complete receiver. I don't want him to just be a vertical threat. I want him to be able to go across the middle. I want to give him an expanded route tree and really turn him out into a legitimate threat all over the place. And that's what he's done. We saw his route tree increase last season as well. And I think that we're in a great spot for that this year. He's like a fantastic complement to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And yes, Laporta will get his stuff, but I agree with you, man. I think that Jameson Williams is going to take his game to the next level, right? Third year wide receiver breakout season. Is that what we're all over that?
That used to be a thing, right? I don't think they talk about that as much anymore. It also used to be a thing that rookie tight ends can't produce. I don't think that's a thing anymore either.
No, it is definitely not. Thank you, Sam Laporta.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Howard. I appreciate you coming on. As always, a lot of fun talking with you. Again, Beat Howard Bender contest. How can people get in those?
Oh, very, very simple. Here you go. rtsports.com/Bender. You click on that, you'll go to the page. Now, if you are part of the RealTime Fantasy Sports community, just click the button that says Draft Against Me, and you'll see a bunch of Beat Howard Bender drafts in there. I've got best ball. I've got season long. I've got $20 draft masters. I've got $250 All-American drafts or all pro drafts, I think. high stakes drafts, all that stuff going on there. So whatever stakes you want, go ahead. And if you have not, if you're watching this on, say, I don't know, YouTube, and you just kind of found your way to it, when you go to rtsports.com/bender, if you, deposit, if this is your first time, click on that special deal button, and the promo code Bender gives you a 50% match on your first deposit. So you want to jump into some high stakes, you don't have to pony up as much this time if it's your first time on RT Sports. So thanks for letting me promote that, because I'm 25 beat Howard Bender drafts into the season already here, Jeff. Let's do more.
They've been so popular. People love them. They fill up quick. So take advantage of it. I agree. Especially take advantage of that promo code too. If you have not been on the site before, it's a great deal. All right, Howard, again, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. We will see you shortly, I'm sure. Thanks
so much.
All right. Thanks everybody out there for watching as well. This was our ongoing top 3 series. We look forward to bringing you some more videos, and we look forward to you playing in a lot of games here at RealTime Fantasy Sports. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day.